So, China made a shocking announcement that many are saying is the warning that's putting the entire world on notice. And we're getting closer to a breaking point, and it kind of looks like they're not going to be backing down on this one. It's actually something that some experts believe will affect 99% of the entire population. So, this prediction, it's so bad that some actually say that it could deem many items that we use today completely useless. Gadgets like our phones, our tablets, laptops, cars, appliances, even medical equipment. So, doesn't matter if you're using an iPhone, a Samsung, or even driving a Tesla or a Ford. The impact of this particular change could possibly alter so many different markets, and China promises that it is happening.
In Taiwan, the ruling party candidate Lai Ching-te has won the presidential election, giving his party, the DPP, an unprecedented third term. Lai took a comfortable lead early in the vote count, ahead of his nearest rival in the opposition KMT. China claims Taiwan as its territory, and in the run-up to the election called Lai a dangerous separatist. The DPP champions Taiwan's separate identity and rejects Beijing's claims of sovereignty over the island.
Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with the United States, let alone the rest of the world, right? Well, when you understand just how big of an impact Taiwan has on all of us, you would figure out that China's newest threat is something that we all have to take very, very seriously. You see, Lai, or Taiwan's new president, does not favor the PRC. And in fact, you saw how China called him a dangerous separatist, right? This is probably because he believes that Taiwan should be a separate country and have its own sovereignty. Early this year, though, China's President Xi Jinping addressed this particular issue right as we entered into 2024.
President Xi Jinping says China's reunification with Taiwan is inevitable. Xi's comments made during his New Year's Eve address come just days before the South-Rhode Island heads to the polls to elect a new leader. In his speech, Xi said that compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait must share in the glory of national rejuvenation.
This was the start of the year, right? Well, guess what they said after they found out the results of the recent elections in Taiwan? That's right, guys. They said the exact same thing. They're saying that the results of this year's elections will not impede the inevitable trend of China's reunification. So it's kind of like a Thanos thing, right? Whoever is leading Taiwan, the inevitable is that China will reunify with it, whether through peace or through war. But why is Taiwan so important to the world? To address that, we really need to confirm just what they do for the ever-changing market of technology. You see, Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors. Now, folks, this is a huge market. I mean, it's just kind of hard to put into words just how big of an impact Taiwan has when it comes to this technology. It's technology that's used on our phones, our tablets, our laptops, computers, radios, advanced medical equipment, and heck, even our washing machines and refrigerators need those things. This is why Taiwan is such an important piece to our puzzle. And this is also why we've had not one, but two House speakers meet with their leadership in recent years. Do y'all remember that? When Nancy Pelosi was being warned about her plane being shot down when traveling to Taiwan? Now, if you thought that 60% was a lot, and believe me when I say that it is, prepare to be surprised, guys. Did you know that Taiwan produces more than 90%? I repeat, more than 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors? So now that we've established Taiwan's significance in the global market, let's now talk about what China's doing. So right now, they're thinking about what they should be doing next, especially since the ruling party in Taiwan is not in favor of reunifying with them anytime soon. And so this begs the question, is China now going to be invading Taiwan? Are they going to be impeding any kind of military assistance that the United States might provide? Are they going to encircle the island with, even more military pressure and intimidation? Maybe even pressure them economically? Well, we got to be realistic here, right? Because we know for a fact that China is 100% serious about taking Taiwan, which means that they will likely go above and beyond to get whatever they want. But of course, the United States wouldn't let that happen, right? Well, in a perfect world, the United States is still the #1 superpower in the world. However, some experts argue that the United States is now spreading itself just a little bit too thin. And so this means that Taiwan may be at a disadvantage given that we're too busy with other conflicts in other parts of the world.
The U.S. military launched another airstrike in Yemen on a Houthi-controlled site believed to be used by the rebel group to attack commercial ships in the Red Sea. The Houthis have been targeting international shipping routes to show their support for Hamas in their fight against Israel. The Houthis are vowing retaliation for these strikes, prompting the U.S. Navy to warn American ships to stay out of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden for the next 72 hours.
So that's another strike in Yemen as authorized by the Biden administration. And at the same time, they're still talking about funding and arming Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. This hasn't exactly made us very popular with the likes of Russia, China, and Iran. Now, as much as I would love to think that we're Captain America in that, one elevator scene in which, with a movie where he kind of beats up everybody inside, but analysts actually claim that we're not ready to face many of these new conflicts, especially if any one of them were to escalate even further. And we haven't even begun to talk about the threats that many are saying are going right through our borders, meaning that, we're likely already facing threats from inside our own country, here in our country, on American soil. Now, what's worse is that many now believe that the United States is in a disarray, especially since it's become known that top officials aren't even communicating properly with President Biden regarding very important issues.
The Pentagon had a series of embarrassing exchanges with the press over the ongoing Lloyd Austin hospitalization scandal. Now, as a reminder, Austin was in the hospital for what we now know were issues related to prostate cancer. Biden and his senior officials weren't told this for days. Here's John Kirby answering a question about that.
So the president has known for, I guess, 5 days now that Secretary Austin was in the hospital, but he wasn't informed why?
He was not informed until last Friday that Secretary Austin was in the hospital. He was not informed until this morning that the root cause of that hospitalization was prostate cancer.
Is that because the White House knew and didn't inform the president, or because Secretary Austin chose not to share that with the president?
Nobody at the White House knew that Secretary Austin had prostate cancer until this morning, and the president was informed immediately after we were informed.
Okay. Last week, we learned that Jake Sullivan, I believe, found out about the fact that Secretary Austin was hospitalized on Thursday morning. So just want to clarify, are you saying the president found out a day later than the NSC did?
No, Jake was informed, our national security advisor was informed that Secretary Austin was in the hospital and had been for some time. He found out late Thursday afternoon, and he and the chief of staff, Mr. Zients, informed the president later that evening, early that evening, not long after they learned. They informed the president directly, Thursday evening.
You see what I'm saying, right? And this isn't just with the Biden administration. We've seen multiple inconsistencies with most high-end officials despite their political party. And so this means that Taiwan may be at the highest risk right now. And what happens if China takes over? Will the United States be cut off from procuring semiconductors? I mean, the impact of that will be felt for years, folks, especially since we're not in a position to manufacture these things at home yet. But what do you guys make of all this? And what do you think happens moving forward? All I know is that I'm going to be here with you guys every step of the way to make sure you guys are informed and updated on anything that matters to us going on around us. So anyway, before I go, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.